We are ready for our Game of the Week presented by IHOP. That's where we begin today, as we always do.
Yum.
And this week, it's the Chiefs and Broncos, once dubbed the no-fly zone. That Broncos secondary no longer flying high after allowing Derek Carr to complete 91% of his passes in Week 2 and Joe Flacco to throw for near 300 last week. The message from head coach Vance Joseph, our entire back end has to play better versus the pass. Well, maybe not the best time then to welcome the league's most lethal big play pass game to town. After setting a record for the most TD passes through the first 3 weeks, Patrick Mahomes, the Chiefs QB, would need just 4 more versus Denver to set the record for the first month of the season. And check out the numbers for Mahomes. That 137.4 passer rating, yet tops in the league. And you know what else goes along pretty well with that 13 touchdown pass number? 0 interceptions. That is fewest in the league. And those 13 touchdown passes have gone to 9 different receivers, Coach, for Patrick Mahomes. And they've come in a variety of different ways. We've seen the speed shovel. We've seen him throw a dart on the run to Chris Conley in the corner of the end zone. But can he beat the Broncos from the pocket if he has to?
Yeah, and that's really the ultimate test for a quarterback. I love all the other things they're doing, but ultimately you're going to win a championship from the pocket. And Pat Mahomes looks like he can do just that. And let me show you what I'm talking about, the subtlety of what he's able to do. Now, to start with, I want you to watch this free safety, okay? He's going to mess with Mahomes here a little bit, go to the middle, but ultimately he's going to come out in a 2 deep, which means the open area he's got to see on the run right now is in this 20 yards down the field, 20, 25 yards, going away from the hash. He does a perfect job. Now, this is the one I really like when you talk about a pocket presence. I don't know what scared him off right away from Tyreek Hill. I don't know if it was the pressure coming in here, but for whatever reason, he didn't throw the ball. So he starts to bail. Now, what does a typical young quarterback do at this point, Sean? He'll bail off and take off, right?
Yeah.
Watch what Mahomes does. He sets back. Look at the way he sets his feet to hit a wide open Tyreek Hill. Now, this one's really subtle, and this is what I really like. You're going to see against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now I want you to watch as he gets back to the top. Again, I want you to watch this safety right up in here, the way he climbs down to take the tight end route. But look what Mahomes does. He sees that, and I want you to watch where he puts this ball. He puts it on the back hip to save his tight end from getting beat up by the safety. So it's those subtle kind of moves, that subtle kind of reading from the pocket that I think is differentiating him from a lot of other young quarterbacks. And that list you talked about, when the number 2 and 3 guys on the all-time list is Peyton Manning and Tom Brady, that's a pretty good group.
You're doing something right. I'm not surprised by the touchdowns because Andy Reid's offense, he does a great job, especially early on in the season. But I am a little surprised that no interceptions, especially with a young quarterback. He doesn't have a lot of game experience in the NFL. That speed sometimes can be a factor, but no doubt his arm strength is making up for a lot of that.
Yeah, and so what are they going to do? What do the Broncos do? Well, you got to get pressure on them. And more importantly, you got to get pressure on them with a 4-man rush. You bring that 5th, 6th guy with all the talent they have, with Kelsey and Hill, it's going to kill you. So let's take a
The Chiefs have done a good job with the pocket and with the pass play.
Let's look right here against another pretty good quarterback in Russell Wilson. And what I want you to watch here is I want you to watch the discipline of the defensive ends as they come in. They stay upfield. If you're going to run, you got to step up into the pocket. You can see that's going to happen. But now Von Miller, he comes collapsing in. Big hit on Russell Wilson. Now, here's a nice subtle one as well you're going to see. What are you going to do? I'm going to show you a 6-man front. That means your protection schemes are going to get gobbled up. You anticipate not having any one-on-one matchup. But what happens? They come out of it, and they end up with just a 4-man rush. And what do? They do a good job of keeping upfield. They make them turn back into it, and there you get another sack. So I think if they're going to have an effect on Mahomes and all that talent he's got around him, they've got to be able to get home. And certainly with Chubb and Von Miller, they can do that. They've got to get home with a 4-man rush because if you have to bring more people, could be a problem.
Mitchell Schwartz, the right tackle. It's a tough job to go one-on-one against Von Miller. He's done a good job in his career, but now if you ask the tight end to help out, now you're taking Kelsey out of the passing game.
And for the Broncos, offensively, not nearly as prolific as their counterparts for the Chiefs here. Case Keenum, under 200 yards passing last week, hasn't thrown a touchdown in 2 weeks. Where does this offense improve this week?
The Broncos' offense was the worst in the red zone all last year. 12 sacks, 3 interceptions. That's why Case Keenum came, because he was phenomenal in the red zone with Minnesota. Let me show you a couple of throws, and here's how he's made some mistakes in Denver. All right, this is trips right formation right here, right, Coach? Now he's got man coverage across the board here, so it's a good read from that standpoint. But this throw right here, I don't like the matchup. You know why? Because that's a corner. That's Rashawn Melvin on a tight end. Now Jake Butt's going to run a little inside route right here, and Case Keenum's going to let this ball fly. and he's throwing this ball right here, and he's trying to fit it in before this safety right here can make a play. Only problem is, it's a tight squeeze. It's a tight window. It's a risky throw. Rashawn Melvin, as I mentioned, the corner, he can make a play on that. If that was a linebacker, maybe that's a touchdown. Maybe it's a more advised throw. All right, so there's a turnover that you can't have because it takes points off the board. This one right here is tough because all of a sudden you've got a pick route, not a rub route. This is a pick, and you'll see what I mean when the play develops. This is an easy throw right here for Case Keenum, Coach. This is exactly how you draw it up. I want you to watch this play develop. And right here, I mean, you got to put this ball on him. It's got to go.
Give him a chance to catch it in the end zone.
Instead, he throws it wide. That should have been a touchdown right there. It's one he'd like to have back. Now, for Case Keenum, you got to take care of the football. You can't throw those interceptions. You can't miss the easy throws if you want to keep up with Mahomes.
Well, and Keenum, the key for him is he has to recognize that, particularly he gets down in the red zone. If this becomes a track meet with the Kansas City Chiefs, which it could be with the way Mahomes is playing, that you can't trade field goals for touchdowns. So this game may very well come down to who's going to blink first. And you know Kansas City's pretty good. Yeah. They can't settle for field goals when they get down in the red zone.
You mentioned a track meet. How do you slow down a good offense? You run the football. Well, the Denver Broncos have done a great job of that with some young running backs. Now, Coach, you know young running backs, they always want to bounce the ball outside. Well, I think that you look at this play right here. This is P10 trap, okay? They're going to pull this guard right here and block this three technique, and both the guard and the tackle are going to get up on the second level. Now, a lot of young running backs will try to bounce a play, but look at this run right here, and I want you to just watch right here. Phillip Lindsay, just take this little A gap right here and make a big run. That's not easy for young running backs to see. They always want to bounce it. This is a single back power play, and what you're going to get is you're going to get a double team at the point of attack right here. 4 hands on the down man, 4 eyes on the backer, and they're going to pull this guard right up here on this backer. And a lot of times running backs will try to bounce the ball outside. But I want you to watch what Royce Freeman does right here. All right, he reads this. He's patient right here. And now all of a sudden, here is your running lane. He waits for that. Young running backs, it takes them time to learn that a lot of the big runs come in the A-gap. If they can keep that up, Rhett, Coach, they can keep the possessions limited for Mahomes and slow down that pass.
Yeah, Kansas City is last in the league in defense, and that's not fair necessarily when your offense is performing that well. Everybody comes in and has to throw a lot to keep up. There's a bunch of chump change. But I think the Kansas City defense is vulnerable, particularly in the physical game that you're talking about.
Third best run game in the league for the Broncos. It's kind of been their saving grace since Keenum's passer rating, 27 points lower than it was a year ago with the Vikings.